Did you watch that show last night, The Good Doctor?
No, I didn't see
The
it.
doctor that has autism.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
Oh, I'm
I'm impressed.
okay. There's the bell.
Yes. Say pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Get a chance to look at the minutes and agenda.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda as presented.
I'll second that. Motion Jeremy, second Sandra, to approve minutes and agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consider for approval Marty Schaefer to Veterans Affairs Board.
Denny Murrah is going to be retiring,
Okay.
and he requested that Marty Schaefer be appointed
Would be a good
in
choice.
his
Great.
position.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Okay. I'll make the motion to approve Marty Schaefer to the Veterans Affairs Board. Second. Motion General Secretary Stenzer to approve Marty Schaefer, or appoint Marty Schaefer to the Veterans Affairs Board. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Scott Miners, engineer, will discuss secondary road matters.
Morning.
Morning.
That's got a few things. Raining today, obviously, or we got some rain overnight, but we are wrapping up the C28W bridge up northwest part of the county, and if that's not open already, it will be shortly. And they are moving equipment and gearing up to get started on the H19W culvert replacement, the one kind of close to the Highway 969 North Junction. We decided, well, that project is really pretty close to a tile crossing, so we decided to replace the tile crossing at the same time. I think it's DD 80.
What street is that?
82. What's
Is that
street?
Newton?
I would think so.
Mile north and half mile east.
That one is on 180th Avenue.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
From the junction, 1 mile east and 3/4 of a mile north, and that's DD 84.
all right.
And it's a 36, so it's a pretty big tile, so that'll be a small addition to the project there. So they'll be working on that for a couple weeks here. Get the box set next Tuesday. Hopefully get the pipe and everything completed and site prepped and everything by end of the week. So that is where our construction is. We met recently with our contractor for the box culvert by Leland, PCI. We had a pre-construction meeting last week, so have kind of everything squared away for that project. They are, as far as we know, planning to start November 1st or within the weeks to come there, and hopefully, get the project done in November, and worst case into December a little bit. But they are planning to be here right at the beginning of that time frame, so that's positive. We had to work out a couple minor details, but I think everything's in order and the project should go pretty well. So I'm looking forward to that coming up in November. As soon as the weather's right, we'll get started with fixing edge ruts around the county. So we'll have to put our truck drivers and our some of our other maintenance guys will be working on over the next few weeks. And then an update on the railroad crossing by Rake, which on R20, which
I watched that one well before. It's on the southbound side, right?
well, the other day when we got called through dispatch, there's 2 panels rocking on the south side, and there's one that had, large potholes in it, which we've tried to patch before, which isn't our responsibility, but we've done it. But anyway, we finally got a little bit of attention from the railroad, and they were able to re-anchor those panels and weld them all together, so it's at least stable and not moving under traffic. It still is rough, and so we are trying to get into a program with the DOT to cost share on crossing replacement. But that's a scoring matrix based on a number of factors, and we don't score well except for the roughness factor. But there's an inspector coming soon to.
The good news is that they'll all feel better when they hit that one out, if they hit the one up in Frost first.
Yeah, several people stopped and told me that.
Oh, you better slow down and go through it at 5 miles an hour.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll try to get in that program, but there has been a 7-year wait in that program for a number of years. So not looking overly promising to get that thing replaced soon, but we're in the queue, and we're also kind of safe at this point. So, a small win, but a bigger win would be better.
Yeah.
That's all I got for updates.
Anything else for secondary roads? I have nothing.
No.
Okay, number 4, consider for approval road access permit for Al Diven.
He's planning to be here today, so if we could maybe push that.
Push that back a little bit.
Yep.
Call Chris in. Auditor's office will discuss drainage matters.
Hello?
Chelsea, is Chris available?
She ran to the treasurer's office. When she gets back, I'll send her over.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Number 6, and consider for approval county claims.
Just gave him money.
These weren't sent out ahead of time, were they? I didn't see anything.
I didn't see it. Yeah, go ahead.
Go back to this.
There's a bunch of them. Yeah, we'll go back to, auditor's office will discuss drainage matters.
I don't have anything.
See ya. I got one. We got, the ditch we're doing out here by Neil Stephenson out there.
Mm-hmm.
He wants, culverts put in or pipes put in now where there's natural drainage into the ditch. I think some of it is because, the long,
Surface pipes.
yeah, surface pipe, whatever. There's just natural ravines going down in it, and it doesn't look like it's really harmed the integrity of the ditch at all. It would make it easier for him to mow it. There's 2 of them that are fairly steep, and 2 of them that aren't too bad. I mean, is it a real issue as far as,
Have you gone and looked at it?
I've looked at it.
What's your opinion? I have one just like that in my district, and it,
I can't say that it's been a detriment.
I have one that is a detriment, and I can't get a contractor to do it.
And Gary Helgeson is in the building, so he, I'm sure, is coming in shortly. Because I wonder if he wanted to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
So,
I,
What district is that, Chris?
3, lot 7.
For what it costs, in my opinion, you might think different. It's better to, even throwing some riprap in there,
mhm.
it's better.
There is, they have been throwing rock in there already, just the farmers have. Two of them are low enough, I can't picture there being a problem, but there are two. Yeah, there you go.
This guy give us the
We're discussing the pipes now. Is that what you're here for, or something different? What do you think on, out there at Neil Steffen's?
Well, squeaky wheel gets the grease, but
Yeah, but is it?
I don't know if it's so necessary, but it's been that way for,
Yeah.
they claim the ditch hasn't been cleaned for over 47 years, and
Yeah. It doesn't look like it's harmed the integrity of the bank
doesn't
to me.
appear to me.
Yeah, so I mean, it's,
I'll let it go then.
yeah, I mean,
Well, you're thinking do none, because they were gonna put those in, 2 of them that you said this morning to do. Is that correct? You guys talked to have.
yeah, we talked, but we never made I didn't think we made a decision on it.
Oh,
Are they putting them in this morning?
yeah, as soon as pipe get here, they're not here yet, they'll be here at 10. But that's fine, all it is a phone call. Don't matter to us.
Should they be in?
I'd say no, because they're an expensive deal to do. And like I talked to this young lady earlier before when I was leveling it, I said, should we do it, should we not? Use my own judgment. I thought not, because if we were going to do it, I wouldn't have leveled it. I put the pipe in, now we got to wreck all our seeding, but it's entirely up to you, Bill.
I guess I thought I left it with the fact that I was gonna do some further research. So
Oh.
I says, if we were to put
Oh,
some in, it would be in these 2 areas.
yeah.
Well, that's okay, I mean, if it's no big deal,
Don't matter to me.
get it. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
If it keeps Neil happy, I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's gotta pay,
But
he's
then-
gotta pay for a chunk of it, but, I mean, I think it's more for his convenience mowing it and probably possibly farming it in 10 years once it's out of there.
Yeah, but is it really gonna protect the ditch from washing, I would say?
I can't say that it's in the district's best interest to spend the money on it myself,
Okay.
but then, I haven't been doing drainage for the last 30 years, you have, so,
50.
or 50, whatever it is.
Well, a guy just uses common sense, I don't know, and it's all he's enrolled it all into CRP.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, him and I had discussed this once before and decided that being it was all CRP and stuff, that
Yeah.
it probably wasn't something that was necessary, especially right away. I mean, because I was talking, if we did do it, it would be a year down, a year from now or so.
Yeah,
It's,
but then again, it's nice to get it done when the machine is there,
well, that's true.
but we gotta come back anyway. Some of these ditches, that haven't been, the ditch banks were, a lot of them on this project were never leveled before. And now he was complaining I can't do this. Well, we're putting it back exactly like it was or better.
Yeah, and I can't say it looked pretty good to me, so.
But
So you guys got the pipes already?
I ordered them, but they'll be here 10 o'clock at our shop. So they can I don't need to put them in here. They'll just keep. They'll keep.
Well,
That's up to you guys.
yeah, I'm saying.
But other than that, I think the ditch project turned out to be pretty good. It's like digging a brand new ditch for a lot of it. When they let them go that long.
Well, things are I hate to see you sit on two pipes that you already.
Well, it don't matter. We use them, we'll sell them. But it's, whatever you
I
want.
would say since we're gonna reclassify it, we already have a huge fee for that probably. We should just,
Not do it?
Yeah.
Well,
if they don't
yeah,
need it,
'cause
then let's not.
I guess I should have made sure that, I mean, I was thinking it was gonna be next year.
What's the cost? Roughly.
You got your materials and your dirt work
Labor, you
around
know,
it.
now it's a lot of extra dozer work, because I shoved all that dirt out away from those, and that wasn't a big amount, so I'd say $2,000 to $3,000 per pipe.
And is it, from our perspective, is it like a 50-50, do it, don't do it? Would you say, or?
Well, I used my own judgment, and I chose not to do it, and it isn't because we didn't have time or all the machinery was there.
Right.
With it gonna be in CRP for 15 years or 10 or whatever, I don't know.
But that's like pushing it down the road. I mean, if it goes back into farming in 10, 15 years,
Yeah,
should it be done?
no,
No.
because he's gonna leave it, but I'll guarantee you that whole ditch bank will be CRP probably.
I can't believe it's gonna get rid of filter strips, so. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that I had left the impression to go ahead. It was something that, it was at least gonna be a year off, is what I suggest, is that if we're gonna add more expense to this, then, you know, maybe a year from now will be all right too.
You're maybe pushing the limit on this project to begin with, I don't know. It got to be a lot of feet a day.
Well, I guess if you're okay with it,
Yeah,
we'll just not do it.
Okay.
Anything else for,
Yeah,
Dick wants to
Yeah.
talk.
Dick Tweeten.
Yeah.
I called Gary. Gary's, the reason he's here is for me.
Oh, okay.
I called him about a county tile problem we're having out, and it's Drainage District 5, just east of town here for it. And we got a farm that's got a county tile that starts at that farm, and it goes through a wetland. And they built a pond out in the middle of the wetland, and all these trees have grown up, and we think you got just full of tree roots in this county tile. And we petitioned this spring to have somebody look at it, and they didn't get out there to look at it. And Gary was out last summer, and we dug in a different area, kind of closer to where the county tile starts on our farm. And sure enough, it was full of tree roots there, but we know there's a bigger problem down by that, downstream by that pond. It's just full of trees that are 40 feet high. So we're wondering what we could do and to fix that. And Doug has been in to talk to Chris about it.
And I said to me, it sounds just like that Guam Wildlife, and if the landowner isn't taking care of it, it's the landowner's responsibility.
we're gonna do it with,
But
conservation,
we'll have to, lack of a better word, we'll have to force the issue.
Right, right. So, in talking with Doug, it sounded like you guys used to own it, but now you don't? Or is this a different area?
No. Yeah, we don't own that. We never owned that.
Oh, you never did, okay.
Who owns that?
Tom Barkema owns it now.
So the question of the day is, what are we gonna do about these? Because there's more CRP.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the long term there's more. We got a couple other farms that are kind of the same way, and it's like, what's gonna be done to correct this problem so we don't have to deal with it all the time? I mean, other than.
well, I mean, somehow we've gotta force we get the idea in people's heads that they have to take care of the trees if they're over a drainage line, you know? That's, I can't see why anyone else should be held responsible for someone because you're not, like, or is it all right to let trees grow on some of the CRP? I thought you had to kind of maintain it some.
Depends on what kind of program though.
Yeah.
CRP is different from wetland program or whatever.
Wetland, you can have trees growing, is that it?
I suppose.
Not on the tile line.
Well, no,
But they
because you have easement on that.
Yeah, but on a wetland project, they usually put in,
Non-perforated.
non-perforated tile as part of the program.
Yeah.
Whether it works or not is another thing.
I don't know if they did that or not in there, I doubt it.
There's a gentleman standing outside the door that goes out and shreds all those trees down.
Yeah, but has the damage been done?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, it
See, I
has,
noticed
yeah.
that on Highway 9.
Yeah, doing that's only gonna.
He's done that, but has it damage done?
Did you said you put in a request to get that
Yeah, this spring,
this spring?
we petitioned to have it looked at.
Right.
I think Matt Harms was gonna do it, but he never got it.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't a problem. Well, so, get it done.
And I was gonna say that, and the tree didn't grow any higher, I mean, the problem is still the same.
Right.
Well, it's too late right now, the problem is, I'm sure. It works, Gary put in last summer, he put in a standpipe to kind of, so we could look at it,
Monitor it.
to monitor it. When he first opened it up, the water was moving through, and then we got all that heavy rain last fall, you know? And then it just, the water level was all the way to the top of that pipe. And water running through that, there's houses down in there. So every time we get a heavy rain, it bubbles up our intake right on the end and runs like a river right through there. So there's something, you know, not being able to flow it out. And
Fix it.
Well, first of all, you gotta do some exploring.
Right,
You hate to
exactly.
spend money if
Right.
it's not, but there was plenty of roots where we patched last spring. And, you know, if they're there, they're down yonder.
So the fix is, we're going to fix it, and who gets the bill? If it's a tree root problem on top of the tile,
The man with the
who's gonna
trees.
get that bill?
Landowner.
So is the district gonna pay for it and assess the landowner? Or do we send it directly to the landowner?
How'd you do it with wildlife?
Well, the wildlife is different because I was unaware that it was the wildlife's problem, so I paid it, and then conservation reimbursed it. So that's a done issue, but
No, the
Going
plate-
forward-
The plate should be with us three, not with the contractor that makes it.
Should
If they don't wanna pay it.
Yeah, we gotta pay the contractor and then we'll.
right, so that's what I'm asking.
Have you let Tom know that there's a problem? And just-
yeah, my brother Doug talked to Tom, I think, and said, here, you know, we're coming to you guys and to determine what to do. He's known about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we talked to him and said, hey, we're gonna meet with the supervisors this morning and talk about it.
So maybe we need to send a letter to Tom too and let him know that you're responsible.
Okay, so contractor's gonna fix it. The bill is gonna be paid by the district,
But charged to.
and then assessed to the landowner.
Which, I don't know how that's gonna go, but, you know.
Right.
Well, you know, he doesn't wanna pay because it doesn't help him any, you know,
No, I know,
that deal.
But
Yeah, but
he should be responsible for his property.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I
some of those
understand
trees,
it,
he
but
just,
we went through this about 5 years ago. A guy put in a request to get a repair, and it made the older couple sell their barn. That's how much it cost them. So, I know it, but that's,
Well,
that's
you know,
the statute, that's the statute.
yeah, and he probably didn't realize it because he just bought it like 3 years ago.
Oh,
And the trees were already there.
yeah.
And so, you know, I think that's the part he's gonna,
He
you know,
inherited
Well,
it.
that-
he inherited the trees, yeah. So, I mean,
Well, I think we've all inherited problems in our life.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
That does create a little bit of a gray area, I guess, but.
Yeah,
But then it shouldn't be the rest of the district's
yeah, I mean, it
responsibility
should be
either.
our responsibility as a district, every time to pay for these
It's a tough
things.
call, it is.
But I think we need to be
Consistent.
consistent and,
We went through the same thing with Holston up there, and anyway, Holston, I always keep getting that wrong.
Cool.
Sonora?
Yeah. I mean, that was a good chunk of change for her, so I mean,
Well, at some time, we need to figure out how to monitor this if it's, so
Well, if
this doesn't
everybody-
happen all the
If
time.
everybody has the CRP, knows that if trees on their property plug a district tile, they're gonna pay for it, they will monitor themselves. I guess we've gotta get the word out there that this is,
Yeah, it's pretty serious thing.
it's not like I'm trying to drum up business for Al.
Well, at this point, it's better off to dig it out, probably.
Well, no.
Down the road, it'd be better to keep them down.
So is the district fine with putting decent non-perforated pipe, whatever style pipe a guy chooses to use, and the landowner keeps his trees and wetlands and so forth? I suppose.
now that's another issue.
That's
When we
CRP,
start
right?
choosing between perforated and non, because we.
Well, but I'm
we-
not a big believer in this plastic tile, regular dual pipe to keep tree roots out of. That's why a lot of times we'll use a sewer pipe with a better gasket.
What do we want to put in non?
Well, then-
Is it ever
That's
gonna,
the issue.
is it ever gonna be farmed again? Cause then.
Well, depending on the kind of program, if it's in them 100-year,
That's what it
99-year
is.
programs, then.
Yeah, then it's,
That's what it's in, too.
then I would think you'd be able to
Yeah,
put
it was put
the,
in, I don't know, 20 years ago or around there into this 100-year program.
Otherwise, you're at the expense of, I don't know, is it normal for 100-foot right of way for a drain tile? You know,
50 foot on center.
Scott,
I don't know offhand
you don't
for a
know.
tile.
Isn't it the same as the ditch? The 50 foot?
Oh,
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so, but it could.
if it was ever
My
farmed
thought
again.
would be 50.
I don't.
Well, roots can.
But even 100 feet
Yeah.
isn't good enough for tree roots. The hefty boys will tell you that even. So,
That should be a discussion. We, find out what it's in first. If it's just in a 15-year program,
no.
So do we explore and see first where it is then probably, and then go from there? Whether, we talked about, it gets pretty costly to rip all those trees out, or do we go on the side of it and put just a non-perf in there, or?
Well, if you change the course of your easement, I don't know.
Is that an improvement?
not if it doesn't increase capacity.
Would it be cheaper to go around it or put it where it's at?
Well, if they're, like in that area, it's a lot of pretty minimal grade. So if you go from point A to point B, but you start going around, it's tough to pick that point B up if you're adding extra feet.
Go exploring it back to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for drainage? Okay, then we'll go back to number 4, consider for approval road access permit for Al Diving.
What I'm giving you is an air photo with landmarks labeled in terms of what we're talking about here. Take note that north is to the left of the drawing. That's the only way I could get the photo to show pretty well on there. But anyway, Al Diven has requested a permit to put in a driveway about 600 feet from an existing driveway. Our policy says 1,000-foot spacing between farm driveways on a single property, and so it does not fit the policy. The policy says that spacing variances that are not safety related can be appealed to the board, and is why you have it in front of you today. I've given Al a couple of options in order to satisfy the policy. You could either move either of the driveways to gain that 1,000-foot spacing, but there are some obstacles out there. As you can see in the
If you move it
drawing,
further south, it looks like it's a wet spot.
that's what I have there. Yep, you see the wet spot there, and you see the kind of black scar through the middle of it that shows where the tile is, I assume.
Yeah, pretty much where this wet area is, just to the north of that, there's a county tile that comes through there and then goes straight west through this waterway on the other side of the road. And as you can see, there's a wet spot down on the fence line. It's just a mud hole. So my request is to put a driveway kind of in the middle there someplace so we can avoid the wet spot in between the two driveways and also avoid that down on the fence line where it's just a very wet spot.
The tile runs underneath, where's the tile running here, you said?
Yeah, pretty much right where it shows the
This
back.
spot right here?
Yeah, and then it crosses the road there, it goes down this waterway.
This driveway's gonna allow you access to that corner of the field without having to cross that when it's wet?
Right. And Scott said, it'd be okay to put a driveway down on the fence line, but, that's just a mud hole right there.
Yeah, I've been there before.
Is our policy 600 feet just for safety?
It's 1,000.
I wouldn't
Or 1,000 feet, I mean.
wouldn't say that safety is the primary reason. I think that the spacing requirement is more just sort of a practical number of driveways that we want to have out there. So we don't end up with driveways every 100 feet out there with culverts underneath them all and, the potential for snow traps, those types of things. There's also safety language in the policy, so I would consider that separately from that.
So if it's not that much for safety and it's just for numbers, if there's gonna be another one there anyway, what difference does it make if it's 600 or 1,000? If there's gonna be another one anyway.
That's up to you.
Well, I don't have a problem with it, so.
The only benefit to having it on the south fence line is it would be a shared access point, so, you'd only have one driveway rather than two.
Well, there's already a driveway there, isn't there?
Right.
On the other property, right?
Yeah, but it's,
South.
but also, with that wet area right there, it'd defeat the purpose of the driveway to be able to get to that corner of the field. Because
Right.
you gotta go through a wet area to get through it anyway again, so.
And your reason is, number one, compaction?
Yeah, we just did some tiling in this area and whatever this spring, and it's a wet, low spot. I'm just afraid that if you have a wet fall or whatever, because at the current time, that is the only driveway in and out of this property is right up here. So yeah, you'd have to cross through all that to try to get to the driveway. So I'm just hoping we can put one on what is, with the corn there right now, it's hard to detect for sure where the driveway needs to be, but there's kind of a high spot, which is approximately in here someplace. We're just trying to find the high spot to be able to get in and out of there.
I would be okay with 600-foot separation.
So, and, we need a motion then just to approve the road access permit, or do we have to say the 600 feet in it, or?
Just
The permit that was requested.
permit, I can make the notes on there, as you say, so all you gotta do is make the motion to approve it.
I'll make the motion to approve the road access permit for Aldivan.
I'll second it.
So motion Gensel and second Sin, Derby, to approve the road access permit for Aldivan. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Get your signature quick there now, I wanna get your signature on this one quick
How about
too.
there?
No, I'll bring it to you,
Right here?
right there, yep.
There's something else.
Thank you.
Okay, number 7, discussion regarding letter to department heads for budget planning.
Getting ready to set up the budgets for the year. Do you want your input on what you want the letter to say to the department head?
My opinion is raises will be minimal and you better hold it. You better hold it. What it was.
I think we have a lot of challenges in front of us, and we need to,
Cut where we can.
yes. We have to seriously look at the budget this year, so.
Yep.
So when you say minimal for raises, are you, I mean, in past years, we've said.
Minimal to none?
Yeah. This budget got out of control last year.
Mm-hmm.
I would be in favor of going, starting at 0 increases. I think we need to get a handle on where we're at.
Yep.
All right,
Good enough?
good enough.
Alrighty. Now the moment we've all been waiting for. Dave Peterson, Sheriff, to discuss public safety.
I am on the hot seat. Hang on, let me turn everything on here. I just kind of wondered what happened last Monday night in Lake Mills.
You want to address that?
Had you been invited to the meeting?
I was invited to one meeting. We talked about it at the board meeting. The board decided that the council was going to come down here. The council was on the agenda at one time, chose not to come down here, and then I had no idea that you guys were going up there Monday night. I think it was an illegal meeting. I think what you guys did was entirely wrong and had no business going up there.
Why is
That's my
that?
opinion, because it was an illegal meeting.
Why?
Because you weren't on the agenda, you had two members of the board up there. How much more do you need?
Well, they were on their agenda, but it wasn't posted here was the problem.
Were they on their agenda, Carla? Because I didn't, I thought you said they weren't.
I do not get that.
I got it.
Yeah.
It was on their agenda.
Okay.
But it should have been posted here.
Should have been posted here. If we have board members down at another meeting, we should have had it posted down here.
Well, we can argue that all day long. It was an informational meeting. There was absolutely no discussion between them and I.
That's not what the paper said, but whatever.
We gave our opinions, but
That's discussion.
Not amongst the two of us, so. I didn't discuss it with him before I said what I said.
I don't know. There's no way to know. That's the purpose of the open meeting laws.
No, then I guess if you wanna pursue that, you can.
I'm not gonna pursue anything, Bill. I'm just saying I don't think it was
It's
right.
just when somebody invites me to a meeting and they have concerns, that's just my nature, is I go hear what they have to say.
The last time you were invited to that meeting, you said evenings don't work for me. It has to be done during the day.
I did not have a volleyball bus that night. There are a lot of conflicts that I have, and I hit it on the way back from a CSS meeting in Waterloo.
Well, I wasn't invited to that meeting.
And I was.
So you guys were speaking on my behalf.
no.
Uh-uh.
No, and I
We
think
both-
that could be attested by.
We both many times, we wish you would have been there. You should have been there,
Wasn't invited.
yes.
We did not speak on your behalf. Let's get that straight.
Okay, that's fine.
We simply told that we have no control over the issue that's being discussed tonight,
Okay.
so.
And the only thing that I said, I said a few things that you have told me before.
And I appreciate that. I read that, and I appreciate that.
And from what I can see, I don't see any intent to make life miserable for other people. It's just the way it is right now.
There is no intent to make life miserable for other people. That is correct. But we are gonna continue doing as we are until we get things going.
Mhm.
Could you give us an update on where we're at on everything?
We have one female, we've had a couple females hired. We have one hired that's on her own now. We have another one hired that's gonna be on her own real shortly. We have a third one that took the MMPI test, I think Monday. So Once she gets trained and going, then we'll be ready to go with her.
And where are we at with the handcuff? We're not even gonna address that until we get
Until we get our staff ready to go.
all three on board.
Yeah.
What weren't you gonna address? What weren't you going to address? Hancock County?
Yeah.
The contract.
Contract Hancock County for having their inmates at our jail. We can't do that, we can't do that either until the jail's up to speed.
This discussion should be between you guys and Dave.
Well, we've discussed
We
it.
discussed it.
I know it, but we have nothing to do with this. I mean, I was flabbergasted last budget when our sheriff's department came in with a $500,000 increase in their budget. I was simply flabbergasted. And so you wonder why people are upset, that's why.
Was anybody upset when the budget was cut when I took office?
Oh, I'd have to go back, but I don't think the budget was cut when you.
Yes, it was.
It was.
Yes, it was.
Well, I guess the question for me is Mayor of Forest City and catching heat from our taxpayers, if that's okay to talk about it, is why couldn't this 28E agreement, which nobody has right now, we don't have one with Hancock County, we don't have one with Saragota County, we don't have one with Cassup County, nor do those sheriff's departments, from what I understand, have an inter-department thing. But this could have been handled by your county attorney and a date certain on there of January 1st if it had to be of next year. I don't care, but everybody would know it was in there. Now we're still getting put back and put back and put back. You're losing income by having 17 prisoners from Hancock County and Cassup County and Saragota County. And, you know, it makes no sense to simple people like me. And it doesn't to our constituents out there. They're saying, we're not going to pay our taxes for the new jail. We don't get to use it. Why can't that be done with a date certain when Dave thinks he's going to have people there and get it started now, get the papers to Hancock County, and it'll come into effect January 1st, November 1st, December 1st.
Well, you can set all kinds of dates, you don't know whether it's actually gonna land then or not. I mean,
But we don't know when it ball's even gonna get started right now.
Well, I would assume that it'll be as soon as possible.
And how long is that gonna take?
I don't know. As soon
And
as
it's only the
possible.
county attorney, according to Dave yesterday, it's only the county attorney that's requiring this.
He's doing it for the protection of the county, Barney.
I understand that, but we've been working under that for 100 and some years, 150 years without one, and now we have to have it. Why can't it be handled in a timely manner?
Well, there's been a little progress in the world of lawsuits in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
But, everything is micro offensive anymore, so you've got to be careful on, I mean, it's, I can kind of understand some of the added caution nowadays with the lawsuits today. But, I mean, as far as the time, you have a approximate time that we're...
It takes about a month or so, 5 weeks to train a jailer. We just hired, like I said, one just went in for an MMPI, or took her MMPI, I believe it was Monday night. That has to be graded, find out if she's, it's a psychological test is what it is. Once she gets past that, then the training will start. We had one gal that was hired a month or so ago, didn't work out, so we had to start over from scratch. People are not knocking down the doors to work in the Winnebago County Jail or any other place, as far as I can tell. When we hired a deputy, 9 people applied. Cassup County hired a deputy, I think it was 12 or 13 applied. Freeborn County would have paid probably a third more money than we do. They don't get any applications.
No,
People are not knocking down the doors for
There's a real cloud that's been created over law enforcement with what's going on.
Oh, the job market,
Well, that is tight too.
Period is a challenge. I mean, then you throw in.
But if you have plenty of other jobs, why are you gonna do this? this.
Right, and this is a job that is a nights and weekends, holidays job, and like I said, people aren't excited about it. But you can drive past Larson's in Lake Mills, they're looking for jobs. Larson Contracting is looking for people. Winnebago's looking for people. There's all sorts of jobs out there, people aren't interested in working.
Well, we can sit and throw blame at each other, and we can sit and make excuses, and I'm including myself in this, Dave, so I'm not looking at you. We need to come up with some solutions to go forward.
The solution is we have to have people, and like I said, we've got the third one coming, and as soon as she gets through with her training period, then we'll take off.
I don't think anybody's intent was for this to be happening right now. It makes very good sense for him to have it up to speed as soon as possible in many different ways. So I can't because it's been out there, I've heard it where there's some people think that he's doing it just to make your lives miserable.
I know Dave well enough.
Well, no, and I didn't believe it either, and the person that I talked to about that, I told them I didn't think that was true, so that's
Well, I appreciate you standing up for me.
Yeah, that's not where we're at, we just want to get things going.
Well, yeah, so all of us.
And I know I've talked to Dave now twice, we've met personally twice, and I understand the hiring, I mean, Winnebago's going through it and everything else, but.
Well, I hope there's continued communication between the cities and Dave. That's gonna be the key to here, so we all know where we're gonna be.
There's one way to speed up the hiring, and that's whether the taxpayers are like that too, is then we gotta increase what we're gonna pay for everything, and that means if we start increasing that, then the people that are already there are gonna want those same increases, so then it's be even more money into the.
The same token, you're losing $800 to $1,000 a day to Cassup County and Hancock, or Saragordo County. That's a lot of money also, that pays somebody's salary.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, are we consistent with the rest of the jailers in our area? Dave Thomas, Lake Mills Police Department. Trying to figure out is our hiring and our standard of pay right now for our jailers, is it pretty consistent with everybody else around the state?
I don't know.
Okay.
I remember the last negotiations we had with the union, and it was fairly close.
Okay. So if we're struggling getting people at the wages that everybody else in the state is being paid, raising that just for this location probably isn't the fix. I would say that that's probably not the issue. Do we have, Dave, any idea about how many people more, other than what you already have, needs to be hired before you're full staff? So you have a certain amount on now, you had a recommendation from the jail inspector.
The staffing analysis.
Where are we at in that?
Okay, the staffing analysis said 12 people.
Okay.
We are at 4 people right now with the jail administrator making 5. We'll have this other gal come on, which will make it 6. We have a couple part-timers that we're working, and things with the dispatchers is working out better, so we are getting some benefit out of the dispatch where there's more. So it is starting to come together. But in answer to your question, short answer is the jail analysis at 12 people.
Okay. So you have.
So we're about halfway there.
So you have 6 jail staff and you have 6 deputies, correct, that are capable of jailing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're at 12. On or off, basically, people that can put people in jail, people that can do an intake. So we have the 12, and I guess I take a look at this as expectation of services. For 100 years, or however long the jail has been here, someone gets arrested for OWI, you take them to jail. Somebody gets arrested for a public offense that they can't be turned loose with a citation, you take them to jail. Those kind of things may not necessarily be happening right now because of lack of jail staff. No staff, low staff, legal issues as to liability. Well, if we're going to arrest them, there's liability to begin with if we turn them loose back on the street, and or a medical. There's been conversations that our paramedic evaluations aren't good enough. If they come in, that they want them actually taken to Mason City and checked out at the ER. I think that's unreasonable expectations of law enforcement if a paramedic will come in and give some sort of recommendation, say, hey, listen, all they need to do is be put in a cell, they'll be fine. And those are some of the things that we struggle with from time to time. Now, if we think that getting full staff on board is going to fix that, I take a look at it and am very expectant for the future. But if that's not going to be fixed after we get full staffed, then our situation isn't fixable, and it's a broken system, and then it needs to be reevaluated. I don't know where the new jail policies were come up with. I'm just saying that in our older facility, we'd bring someone down and they were taken. It wasn't like, hey, listen, you have to find a magistrate to look at them at 3 o'clock in the morning. Our magistrate's not going to do that. He's already told us that. You get someone at 3 o'clock in the morning that needs to go to jail, they need to go to jail. It's not like, hey, listen, figure it out yourself. We don't have those contacts, and we don't get to make those arrangements with the other jails. So right now, Iowa code says that 2 people get to put people inside the county jail. That's their department because they own it. And they're not going to turn away their own people when someone comes in. And the Iowa State Patrol. So, Department of Public Safety specifically. Based on that, the Iowa State Patrol, if they arrest somebody, they can bring them in. Jail can't refuse them. Lake Mills Police Department brings somebody in, they can, for any reason. They just say, we're not taking them. Based on that, I'm going to tell you that we have had people turned away for, hey, listen, did they blow? Such as a public intox. Did they give a PBT? No. Guy refused.
What's that?
A PBT is a preliminary breath test to where they want to know the level of intoxication. The person refuses. We can't make that person give us a breath test. Now we're not going to take them. We have been fortunate enough on some of our cases to where they have found a place for these people to land, and on some of them, they have not. They haven't been able to find anybody to take them. With that being said, we're now sitting on somebody that we have to release back into the public, maybe under somebody else's supervision. And if that's not a liability, I don't know what is.
Well, it's a liability having someone that's about ready to drown in his own vomit too in the jail, so.
Well, our policy is, we're not taking anybody over .3. I checked with counties across the state, and I didn't want to pick and choose, so what I did is I took the county directory, and Adair County was the first letter in the A group. The second one was Buchanan County, first county in the B group, C group, D group, all the way down. And the counties that had jails, about a quarter of them had a .30. One was down to a .25, Dallas County, and one was as high as a .32. There were several counties that didn't have that policy, and they said, that's a great idea, we're going to implement that ourselves. They had never thought about it before, but it's going to be implemented in several of the counties that I talked to. We are not going to take people over .30. We're not going to take people that have a medical injury. The Lake Mills Police Department brought a guy down one time and wanted us to take control of him, and he'd been in a fight and got hit with a baseball bat. He had a broken hand. Now, if we'd have taken that responsibility, the county taxpayers would have been paying for that x-ray and everything else to be taken care of on that guy's broken hand. I think you could, I'm not sure, but I think you guys released him. You found out his hand was broken, I think you released him back onto the society.
To the ambulance is where we released him. He had the opportunity to either go to the jail or go to an ambulance to seek medical, and that's where he went.
Okay.
He went to the ambulance.
We were not going to take somebody with a broken hand.
And he didn't disclose that until we got down there.
I don't know that, Dave. I'm just saying.
I'm telling you what.
And I believe you. I believe you. I'm just saying, we're not taking somebody with a medical injury. We had a guy one time, when I was on the fire department, we got called to a lift assist at Gene's place. We went there's a guy passed out on the floor, he fell off the chair. As we were there, an ambulance pulled up. I said, what's the ambulance for? They said, he's going to take him to jail. I said, no, he's not. We're not taking somebody by ambulance to the Winnebago County Jail. And the officers that were there were very upset with me. And that guy ended up going to Mason City by ambulance. But that was
Mason City Jail or hospital?
Mason City Hospital, which is where he belonged. We don't take mental patients. If somebody says I'm suicidal, we're not gonna take that patient. We're not gonna run that risk of somebody. We had an incident in the jail a week ago, 2 weeks ago, which I filled you guys in on. We're not gonna run that risk. Not gonna happen.
Now, when somebody's highly intoxicated, you have to look at them every 15 minutes, is that it?
If somebody's highly intoxicated, we're not gonna take them.
Well, no, but
If
if
they were, they would be in the padded cell, and we would look at them. Policy says 15 minutes, we're gonna spend more time than
I was
that.
gonna say, because 15 minutes is plenty of time for.
Exactly. We're gonna spend more time than that.
Something we can't afford our dispatch when they're covered
Right.
to have to do.
Yep.
Well, we can sit and parse policy all day long on what we're gonna do, what we're not gonna do. I think.
Well, as a supervisor, do you have somebody in jail that's over .30?
I think when the committee decided to make this a public safety center, what a misnomer that is if this is the case.
That .30 was recommended by Dr. Carlson.
No, I'm saying.
And Dale Renicky was
I'm trying to
in
answer your
jail.
question, Dave.
All right.
If this is a public safety center, where are we gonna take this guy?
You can take him to the hospital, or you can take him to a family member and release him. But you're not taking him to jail. When Dale Renicky was jail
By
minister,
law, you can bring him you can take a drunk driver to a family member?
they used to do it all the time. Highway Patrol did it all the
Really?
time, sure. If they had a responsible person that was willing to take that person, that we could sign them over to him, absolutely.
That's interesting.
Dr. Carlson, when Dale Renicky was the jail administrator under Sheriff Lillquist, he talked to Dr. Carlson. Dr. Carlson said that .30 is as high as he would go. I talked to Dr. Carlson, today is Tuesday, I think it was Friday morning, and Dr. Carlson said .30 is still a good benchmark. He said some people can operate very, very well at .30. Some people can't operate at all at .6. But I was on an accident scene where a guy died at .325 of alcohol poisoning.
Is that the issue that we should be discussing? Don't mind discussing it.
The issue is this 2080 agreement needs to get done. He needs to get the staffing, and if we can't ever get there, from the two meetings we've had, correct me if I'm wrong, even when he's at full staff, from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m., you're probably not gonna be able to take a prisoner out there.
So that's still not full staff, Marty.
Right.
It's closer than it is now, and it's closer than it was for a long time.
But will it ever get to that point that you'll be able to do that?
I don't know that.
In our
That
discussions.
is the goal, absolutely, it's a goal to get
but it's
that.
not there.
Our term full staff means what we budgeted for the increase of the 3 jailers.
Yep.
Can deputies come off the road and come in and be the jailer then?
They do that now for, if somebody needs to be booked into jail, the jailers
That's one thing we didn't talk
come
about.
and do that, no.
Because the dispatchers cannot.
The dispatchers can, right.
I think we need to go back to the people built this jail. The people did, and they voted for it, okay? So now we're gonna have to step up and pay the piper. That's all there is to it. So, it's gonna hurt big time for a lot of people. For all of us, really. But, at this point, I don't see any other way than to get the ball rolling. It's gonna cost, so.
Well, and if you don't pay the piper, you're gonna lose anyway.
Right.
So you
Exactly.
might as well pay the piper, get these prisoners in here and make use of your facility.
Right.
To me, that's a no-brainer.
Yep, I agree.
But we're looking at a month away probably before that happens.
Yep, that's probably correct.
If all these issues would have come before the vote, we probably wouldn't have to worry about the new facility out there. But now it's too late, so it doesn't matter. It's there. We've got to deal with it. So,
Yeah, that's correct. No matter what was said before, you've got it, we gotta do it.
Yeah, that's right. Let's move forward.
Any further discussion on that, anybody? Okay. Move on to number 9. Discussion with possible action leaving the mental health region. What is that?
I thought somebody told me to put it on the agenda.
Really?
No, well, it's supposed to be after our meeting on Thursday.
So I'll put it on the agenda for next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, with DHS.
WHW.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The 3 counties.
Yeah.
Sorry
And
about
then
that.
there are some other counties that are going to come. So.
Are they?
Informational.
Bob finally sent the information out on the county's uses. Did you see that?
No.
As far as the numbers are,
Well, it was a,
Got shot to me after I pulled some strings. We got it taken care of.
he got done in a couple conversations, but I couldn't get done in a year and a half, 2 years.
The sad part about this, huh?
Olga?
Oh, yes, no, but what we did not get was the Worth County. Instead, what we got was a full breakdown, which I can forward to you if you want me to. I believe Sandy has it already, but a full breakdown of every single thing, not county by county, but this collective, which makes it almost indiscernible to try and understand just exactly what's going on.
Well, and Hancock's numbers are kind of skewed because of Duncan Heights and all the people from there. And they're, maybe 2 of those people are actually from Hancock County. So
Right.
it's,
Right, they're showing 159 Winnebago, 127 Hancock. Hancock has an expense of $750,000. Winnebago has an expense of $315,000. So, and then Carla and I were sitting for quite a while trying to figure out just exactly where those numbers were coming from, and Sandy was able to explain part of it, but she says that Winnebago's is unaccountable. And I later learned that Hancock's is also the same way as well, too.
and my guess is the reason he did not give us Worth's information is because it's much worse.
Ken is a little bit out of sorts at this point.
I sent him a message wondering why Worth was not included in on that. If he's gonna give 2 out of the 3, what's his, so.
I posted a story, by the way, on the site, so you can read it, and I have Ken literally crawling out of his skin. He is just beside himself because he's trying like crazy, even as chairman, to find out what the numbers are. And even the strings I was pulling is not strong enough.
They had a vote for us not to see that information, in order for us to be able to see that information. He made it where the board voted that they had to vote to allow us to see it. And one county that already got to see that information voted for us not to be able to see it. So, I mean, it's...
And Mr. Lincoln was also very insistent on showing me the minutes to the effect that that information can no longer be disclosed.
Give him a FOIA.
Oh, don't worry, I've already made a few other phone calls. I'm not stopping here.
Does that cost money?
No.
Just time?
Just a lot of time and a lot of phone calls, a lot of talking to people outside of the realm. But it's yielding results. I think though, if you read what I've put up so far, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Sorry, Bill, I had to use part of your quotes in my story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just worry that this whole investigation and discussions is gonna distract us from the real reason we're doing this, and that's to provide good service to our clients.
Right, no, the point is, and that's what I told Bob the last time I talked to him, was that the whole point of this is that we think we can provide better services for our people with the same money. I'm not even
talking worry, because that is the end result.
Yes.
If we choose to leave the group, is that we will be giving Winnebago residents much better service.
Several counties.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
it has nothing to do with anything but that. And that's Sandy's whole thing behind this, is that she thinks that we can take care of our people.
And as I understand it, gentlemen, from the conversations I've had with outlets that would be able to support this kind of thing, there is room
as we talked about earlier, there is room that is available. It's just a matter of the certification process. That I'll bring out later.
Okay, well. Was it 10 o'clock Thursday? I got it in my phone.
In Garner, 10 o'clock
Yeah,
in the courthouse.
Back to 6 then.
Yeah, consider for approval county claims.
I gotta finish that up today.
I'll make a motion to approve when you're ready.
You can start looking at those and passing it on.
I never do. There's nothing we can do about it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
I hope everything gets straightened out as soon as possible.
All right. What do you do? In answer to your question earlier, in the past, they did that a lot. They would relieve somebody to their family member.
Do they ever do it anymore?
They do.
Oh, you're kidding.
And they can still charge them. They're not just letting them go.
No, I know.
They charge them and the courts pick up with it on the back end,
Would you do that?
Would I release it to
A family member that's responsible?
we have. I have, yeah.
That's mind-boggling.
They can still get their DWI and all that stuff and everything, they just don't have to do their time in jail.
Not the initial time in jail. When I say to catch up with it on the back end, they still have to do 48 hours in jail.
Yeah.
But when they get arrested, they do 4, 5, 6 hours, at that time, and then they get credit for time served. So after court, they do 42 hours or something.
Yeah, all right.
I'll second the next motion on the claims.
Motion Sender and a second from Derby to approve the county claims. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Open forum.
I have, send down those things.
Some maneuver.
Sure. And then you'll send it to me, please.
I'm sorry? No, we don't do that. And this is. Well.
I'm not gonna say anything. It's just like, oh my God.
I have one more thing for her before when she gets back here.
If you want, Terry, I can send that information to you, so you can, I'll send it to all three of you. Cut Carla, shoot it off to you guys, so you know what's going on. But it's pie charts and possibilities, basically, is all it is. It's interesting.
Well, the thing that boggles my mind is how Bob obfuscates everything, Yes. But then I think about it from a bureaucrat, it really, I guess it doesn't bother me.
Not really.
From what I understood, there was also some software issues trying to extract county by county that they're trying to work out to dissect, whether that's true or not.
He did reiterate that, but the one thing that kind of threw me, and Sandy did verify it, is the Lifeline phone line. You guys heard about that?
No.
30K a month.
For what?
Lifelong links.
Yep, Lifeline links. It's a hotline.
It's discussed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to the story, Mike.
We're spending $375,000 a year on a phone system that we took care of for free with everything before, without needing this. And the Roger Jarks called it from their board meeting, called Lifelong Links to see what the process was. They asked him where he was from, and he said he's from German Valley. They asked him if that was in the United States, and he said yes. And then they were disconnected, and they never called him back.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, there's many examples of how.
This isn't a slam against you because just economics keeps you from doing it. But where are the major newspapers and major media outlets on this? This just boggles my mind.
Well,
the larger
on this and other issues.
First, I won't call us CBS, NBC, or ABC, but I will say that there are 3 organizations in this room that are very large considering the circumstances. I work for one, and I'm in charge of one. So when I saw this, I jumped on it. I can't speak to the other 2 in the room.
You guys are considered large.
How many stations?
When we have 10 stations across the state of Iowa, and we reach 88
Okay.
stations on our
All
website.
right, okay. I
So-
thought you were much smaller than that.
Oh, no. We have 88 nations that reach our website. We have the statistics to back it up. People are reading us from all over the world.
Really?
Yes. I've got all the schematics. Sometimes stop over and I'll show you.
Okay.
There are larger populated areas that are benefiting from what's going on, so they're going to have no interest.
And then there are other places across the United States that are going, what in the world is going on in Winnebago? Let's try to avoid it here.
Yeah.
So, and you see that going on all the time. I can't speak to the Globe, and I certainly can't speak to the fine institution of KIMT, but I can speak to what we do. And when I hear something that's of consequence like this, yes, I'm going to make a few phone calls. And in this case, phone calls led to phone calls that called me back.
Good.
So that's what happened there. Of course, it kind of helped that I have kind of somebody on speed dial, and she's a nice person. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the whole point is that this helpline, and it gets even funnier, sometimes we'll revert back to the county service lines. So in other words, they'll redirect you back to Winnebago. So Sandy answers the call.
For $360,000 a year.
375 technically when you take a look at the administrative costs.
Okay, back to open forum.
Yep. What else you got for open forum?
The Snowmobile Association, which opened up a location in Thompson, Iowa, used to work with the DNR on fiscal sponsorship of their federal rec trail grants towards equipment. DNR has pulled out of that agreement and just they now pay the Snowmobile Association to administer the funds in a cost-cutting measure. It's a friendly agreement for 5 years, but part of that deal is they will not fiscally sponsor the grant applications. So what I'm asking is the county interested in sponsoring a federal grant for that Snowmobile Association in Winnebago County, so they qualify for the DOT's parameters. We can do it on another meeting, but there's a deadline coming up. Friday is the application date. We had it done through the Port Authority. Port Authority agreed to do it, but now the DOT says that it may not qualify as a fiscal agent. So there's another grant in Franklin County that they approved yesterday. So if you guys want to, is it possible to meet on Thursday before we go down to Garner clock them, just with that sole. Just to let you know, I am the administrator, one of the co-administrators of the fund, so I won't be able to vote on it, but I can provide information on it. But it's something, all the money is sitting in Winnebago County now, in a bank, to take care of this. We get 70% of the funds of registration money that all the recorder's offices take in, and so the money's there, and I can explain it all then, so if you're willing to.
Yeah, all right, that's fine. So put that on.
And I can give you the wording for that.
That'd be great.
Anything else for open forum?
I appreciate that.
Then we stand adjourned.
Some of the more, your county is